looks like humanity is one step closer to the return of civilian supersonic flight. On March 22, 2024, the long-awaited first flight of the XB-1 experimental aircraft took place. This is the brainchild of the American startup company Boom Technology, which in the near future plans to build and put into mass production a supersonic passenger airliner. It was called Overture. According to the company, it will fly twice as fast as any modern airliner and will be able to operate on routes of up to 7,800 kilometers. This project started in the middle of the last decade and was immediately met with great skepticism. Experts and the press have assessed his prospects as illusory. However, despite the numerous problems and difficulties that have arisen every now and then throughout all these years, the program is gradually growing and developing. Boom Technology has managed to enlist the support of many leaders in the aviation industry who produce the most important units and components for creating flying equipment. She received a total order for 1,500 aircraft from several leading airlines, and she was also able to interest the Pentagon. The version for the U.S. Air Force may appear almost simultaneously with the civilian one. The Boom Company is already in full swing, building a large production site where it will carry out the final assembly of aircraft. Moreover, it will equip them with engines of its own production. There, they selected a team of specialists who worked on creating a power plant for American fifth-generation fighters. This engine has already received its own name and, of course, will run only on environmentally friendly aviation fuel, SAF, in order to be 100% in line with the trend of preserving the nature and climate of the planet. We talk about the history of the Overture project, its current state, and its future prospects on the Avios Motor channel. And by the way, about nature and travel, Tinkoff Bank has released a new collection of Tinkoff Black debit cards with unique landscapes of Russia that will remind you of past pleasant trips or inspire new adventures across the vast expanses of our country. There are a total of 5 map designs in the collection: landscapes of Lake Baikal, Kamchatka, Donbay, Perm Territory, and Murmansk. And if you manage to issue such a card before April 14th, you will receive free service on it forever. In addition to the beautiful design, you will also receive up to 30% cashback in rubles for purchases on special offers from partners and up to 15% cashback on 4 spending categories. You can choose them yourself every month. You can also withdraw cash without commission from any ATM and transfer money to a phone number without commission. Hurry up to get a Tinkoff Black debit card in a limited design with the nature of Russia using the link in the description before April 14th and receive eternal free service on it. The era of supersonic passenger transport ended on November 24, 2003. On that momentous day, the British Airways Concorde took 100 passengers on board and took off from JFK Airport in New York. And just 3.5 hours later, I landed at London Heathrow Airport. This completely routine flight ended the rather long 27-year history of Concorde's commercial operation. His fellow classmate, the Soviet Tu-144, was much less fortunate. A total of 55 passenger flights in the mid-70s and an early withdrawal from Aeroflot's fleet. Contrary to popular belief about the colossal unprofitability of supersonic airliners, Concorde flights across the Atlantic in the 90s and 2000 years still brought some profit to carriers. Of course, a very small number of wealthy travelers could buy a round-trip ticket costing more than $9,000, but still, their number was enough to provide daily transatlantic flights to that small fleet of aircraft. However, by a strong-willed decision, first Air France and then British Airways decided to withdraw Concorde from the fleet, and this despite the fact that several machines still had enough life to continue flying over the next 5 to 8 years. The advent of the 21st century has dotted all the I's. The vast majority of airlines do not need either old or new supersonic airliners, and the largest aircraft manufacturing companies, understanding this, do not even think about creating them. the largest carriers have not shown sufficient interest even in the project of the Sonic Cruiser transonic aircraft from Boeing, whose cruising speed would be 15 to 20% higher than that of conventional civilian airliners. Fuel efficiency has taken precedence over speed performance. As a result, small private companies began developing promising new generation supersonic airliners. And the first company to manage to achieve the greatest progress in this matter was the American company Boom Technology, better known as Boom Supersonic. In 2020, it presented the experimental XB-1 aircraft, and 3.5 years later, to be fair, it should be noted that at the moment, this is no longer the only aircraft of its kind. Lockheed Martin, in collaboration with NASA, has built a prototype of the X-59, and in the very near future, it will take off for the first time. The purpose of both aircraft is largely the same, but the significant difference is that the creators of the X-59 do not yet plan to build a full-fledged commercial supersonic airliner. At least nothing was reported in the press about such plans. In general, few people remember that as part of the projects of the first supersonic airliners, special experimental aircraft were also created. For the most part, they were used to test the ogive-shaped deltoid wing. It was necessary to find out how it behaves in takeoff and landing conditions, and at high supersonic speeds. In the Soviet project, the MiG-21I was built for these tasks and received the characteristic name Analog. And it is he who can be seen next to the Tu-144 during its first test flight. The list of tasks assigned to the XB-1 aircraft is much broader than that of its predecessors from the last century. Firstly, Boom Supersonic has no experience in creating aircraft. She learns the culture of design and production directly from an experimental prototype. Secondly, its appearance will help attract additional funding, which is critical for any startup. And thirdly, with the help of a flight test program, it is necessary to test several fundamental technical solutions for the design of the airframe and the control of the aircraft, and also confirm a significant reduction in sonic boom. And this is the most sensitive problem, since the success of the project in the future largely depends on its solution. When flying at supersonic speed, a system of shock waves is formed on the surfaces of the aircraft, which on the ground are perceived as one or a whole series of very loud explosions. Flying at an altitude of 17 kilometers and a speed of Mach 2, Concorde left behind a double shock wave with a volume of up to 110 decibels. That is why supersonic Concorde flights over the land territory of many countries were prohibited. The shape of the aircraft plays a decisive role in the formation of a sonic boom, and so engineers strive to optimize the geometry of the aircraft's airframe in such a way as to reduce its intensity. The X-59 project is entirely dedicated to solving this particular problem. And according to the developers' expectations, they will be able to reduce the sound boom to 75 decibels, which can roughly be compared to the slamming of a car door. It is not yet known what results Boom Supersonic engineers expect in terms of numbers, but it seems that they are not at all confident that their airliner will fly over land at supersonic speed. It is expected to be only 20% faster than existing passenger aircraft over land. Those will fly in transonic speed regions very close to Mach 1, but as soon as it is above the endless expanses of the ocean, it will be able to develop a supersonic cruising speed of Mach 1.7. But a few years ago, the Boom company promised much more, Mach 2.2. Initially, the promising airliner had a tailless aerodynamic configuration and a power plant consisting of 3 engines, and the experimental XB-1 prototype was similar in many ways. But by 2022, the layout will have undergone noticeable metamorphosis. This was already a normal design with a delta-shaped wing and tail unit and a power plant of 4 engines on pylons under the wing. The new look was reminiscent of one of the layout options for Project 2707 from Boeing, which never went into production. And this was more than half a century ago. Boom does not comment on what exactly made the engineers take such a radical step, but probably the problem with the engines plays played the primary role in this. All the world's leading companies in the industry refused to create a power plant, and as a result, an essentially forced decision was made to design and build our own engine. It was given the name Symphony. This will be a classic low or medium bypass turbofan engine with a maximum thrust of about 16 tons. However, it will not have an afterburner. And to ensure the ability to operate at supersonic speeds, the engine will receive an air intake with a movable central cone and a jet nozzle of variable geometry. It is noteworthy that Symphony is being developed with the active participation of Florida Turbine Technologies, which has a group of engineers on its staff who were directly involved in the creation of the F-119 and F-135 engines. They are installed on American F-22 and F-35 fighters. Using the Raptor as an example, these people understand well how to achieve supersonic cruising speed without using an afterburner.